A Tale of Two Hygienists presents this week's TIPisode, quick and easy tips to keep you up to date and presented by the experts in the profession. Now, get ready for your unofficial TIPisode.
Listeners, this is going to be a little different. Andrew and I actually have a tip for you this week. So this is only my second tip that I've given to you guys, outside of the normal podcast. And Andrew, this is your first.
Yes, the inaugural TIPisode adventure.
I mean, it's only been over a year and we finally do a TIPisode together. But that's all right because we have so many other smart people giving tips. So, you got to give them room. So what we wanted to talk about and give you guys a few tips about is surviving a conference. Big and small. So we are just coming back from Chicago midwinter. Andrew just was at Yankee. I'm literally flying out tomorrow to go to the ICOI ADIA, which is an implant conference. And so, we were just talking. We're like, man, we should tell people what we do to make it an easier conference, or maybe the things that we've learned or not learned. Mine being that I still wear heels because I'm dumb.
I was just going to say that it's going to depend. Some of these tips are going to depend on like what you're doing at the conference. So if you are a regular attendee doing your thing versus like an industry professional, those are going to be two different things. So we'll try and help you navigate this.
Well, I'd say in the last, we do international conferences where we actually become attendees. Everything else, I'm always like, I wish I had time to learn, and I just don't. But we have done a few of those international conferences, so I was trying to think back to those and the things that I did that made the conference a little bit easier on me. So one of my first ones, liquid. Water bottles and coffee cups are so helpful. You can... let's also think about the environment, guys. We want to make sure that we have reusable, but water is sometimes so hard and it's stupid expensive. It's dumb. So bring your own water bottle and you can just refill it at the airport if you're traveling, and then at the conference, stay hydrated because those places will, just steal all your hydration from your body.
Right. And I think, too, there's something about being hydrated that keeps you awake and you're able to absorb the information better. And it's there's weird little things sometimes that the motion of taking a drink, not necessarily even the water, but staying hydrated is good for you also. But just that motion kind of wakes you back up, it lets you think about the thing that the speaker is saying. Of course, everyone knows I like myself some Red Bull. And so, which they come in recyclable containers already. So also, East Coast doesn't have Rockstar as much as West Coast does. So if someone is a Rockstar fan, it's all Monster and Red Bull over there.
Well, let's hope that our listeners are not using the devil's juice as much as you are.
But if you are using the devil's juice, you can also put it in a coffee cup and you'll receive less judgment. What a great tip.
From me.
Aren't you glad that I came onto this show? Because that's a great tip. It's a hot take, as they say.
Actually forget to put your track in here. My other tip was layers. Lots of layers of clothing, because some rooms that you go in for your conferences might be cold and some might not be at all. And then depending on what it is outside, just bring some layers, especially if you tend to get cold. And if you tend to get hot, I don't even know how to deal with that. I don't have a suggestion for that.
Just take off all of the clothes, like Nelly suggests.
Become a nudist. Yeah, just embrace the nudity.
I do run pretty cold, and so I'm always wearing a jacket. So having a light jacket and a heavy jacket sometimes is a good idea.
Yeah, 100%. And, I would also say just comfortable clothing, but professional clothing. Granted, you can learn in whatever you want, but dress for the job that you might want one day, not the job that you got kind of thing. And I'm a big believer in that. That's more of my own preference than a tip more than anything. But when you do choose your shoes, make sure, because some of these conferences are ginormous, like the Chicago midwinter that we just left. You're going to be hustling from maybe one part of the conference hall to the other. And so be comfortable. Unlike me, that will always wear heels. And then by day two, complain constantly about my feet.
Were you on your list? Do you also have like writing utensils, note-taking things?
I do.
Okay.
I did.
It's important.
Yes. Don't rely on maybe it's the hotel pen and paper. There's never enough room. I would also encourage you to find out what the handout situation is. You might have to print them out beforehand. If you are digitally inclined like myself, I actually download everything onto my iPad and I write with my pen on my iPad. So I always have it. I have access to everything, which is really nice. But if not, bring your favorite pen, bring your favorite notebook, maybe even a highlighter. I don't like, just, take diligent notes, and also don't hesitate to ask questions or go up and talk to the speaker afterwards.
I would like to also add to invest in a really nice writing utensil, whatever it is. Because if you're doing it right, like it should be it sounds ridiculous, but it should be an enjoyable thing. You should enjoy writing down the extra little sentence here, extra little idea there that pops into your head, the resource to look up later. It shouldn't be like, I hate scratching this paper with this pen that doesn't work very well.
Yeah, like a junk pen. My other thing is, though, with that writing notepad and utensil, I would encourage you to leave that first page as a kind of a call to action. Because what happens is we tend to take these courses and we always have like really great ideas, and we go in on Monday and we're like really excited, and then like the computer's broken and we're putting out fires and we kind of forget some of the things that we were going to implement. So if something like really resonates with you and you're like, I want to do that, or I want to follow up with this, or that would be a really good protocol for our office, write it on that front page. And that way you can just look briefly and like, what did I learn from Chicago Midwinter, for instance, or the Hinman that I'm about to go to? Be like, oh, that's right. I was going to start gently probing dental implants. That's mine. My other thing was,
I think we all knew that one was
plan.
yours.
Yeah, that's definitely
You didn't
mine.
have to qualify that at all.
And if you have questions about probing implants, please let me know, because I will happily set you in the right direction, and your doctor if they question that. And good plan. Have a good plan. Like, make sure you know where your, look at you with your note. Have a good plan. Know where your lectures are. Know if they're serving lunch, if they're going to have breakfast. Just find out all those details, because there's nothing like rolling up hungry AF and you're like, oh, they don't have breakfast. And then you're starving, and then you might leave the conference and go get something, and now you've just kind of like wasted a CE course.
The other thing too is, we have a lot of friends that are amazing speakers, right? And the problem is sometimes they'll be speaking twice, but one of those times will conflict with another of your friends that you want to see, or someone that you've always wanted to see that's your idol. And so having a good plan allows you to be able to like most efficiently move throughout the conference without missing a single thing.
I would also encourage you to look at the events. There's a lot of events and a lot of companies or organizations have really fun networking events. And if you are there for CE, that's totally fine. But if you're there to expand your career, and why? What? I'm just saying.
No.
What?
If you're at this CE conference for CE, that's totally fine, I guess. But what kind of attitude is that?
I know. Sorry.
But let's talk about networking.
It's totally
now.
fine. But let's talk about networking. Well, and I would also, I guess, I didn't even think about like how that seems basic to me now, which is crazy, because CE is so super important. You should be there for CE.
It's the
100%.
only reason
So
why
I don't
most
mean
people
to
go.
mitigate that. But the networking side, I never imagined how great the CE was, or the networking side, even for CE opportunities, because there's sometimes you might meet somebody that sees dental implants all of the time, and you maybe didn't take a course, but somebody's challenging you. Well, now you just met that person. Now you have a friend. Now you have a contact, and you can pick their brain. I don't know. It's just it's changed my career quite a lot. So I think that networking is great.
Well, the thing about networking, though, also as well, a lot of these things you have to pre-register for. So get on mailing lists and try and find out when these events are. Also be flexible and fluid enough so that when something does come up, that you can go to that as well. Because we were just at Chicago Midwinter, and there's just too many events. You're not going to be able to hit them all. And sometimes you don't hear about it until that week or the day of the event. So be a little bit flexible with your time.
And my last one on here is to plan out your time on the exhibit show room floor. So if there are certain companies that you want to learn more about, Also, give yourself enough time to stop at the companies that you don't know about. I would encourage you to use them as a resource, not just for samples.
Right. I personally like to start at one end and work my way all the way through. I know that you and I both have a lot of meetings and things like that. We're going to see these same people a couple of times, but that way I don't miss anyone. And I think this last conference was one of my favorite ones about learning about new products and learning about new ways to use old equipment that I never thought of before. So give yourself plenty of time to actually engage and interact with the people that are at the booths, because I think that there's going to be a lot of things that you'll learn that maybe wasn't something you were actually looking to learn.
One great example is I'm a big fan of the Cavitron left-rights. When I was using my Cavitron, I use piezo now more than anything, but when I was using my Cavitron, I was a big fan of left-rights. I was using them completely wrong for a decade, y'all. One entire decade, until Mary Ann Dreyer came into my life and taught me on the exhibit floor at RDH one year how to change my technique, and she did it so perfectly. It changed everything for me. So just little things like that, man, they'll change your clinical life. All right, that's all I have for our little TIPisode. Do you have anything else?
No, I think that actually you hit every single thing that I was thinking of in my brain. So yeah, that's
very good. So if you have any advice, we'd love to hear about it. And you can definitely tag us on social media and tell our listeners all about it. And keep listening to these TIPisodes, because we have an amazing few giveaways each month. And we would love for you to share these with your friends. Anything else?
No, that sounds awesome.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
We hope you enjoyed this week's TIPisode. Be sure to reach out to our guest experts and let them know how helpful their tips were. Follow A Tale of Two Hygienists on Facebook, Instagram, and head over to ataleoftwohygienists.com and subscribe to our newsletter. You can also email us at ataleoftwohygienists@gmail.com, and keep listening for more awesome content from your unofficial dental hygiene podcast.